welcome to another episode of Modern Block. Thank you for joining me. The semi-final matchups are in. England face New Zealand and Wales faces South Africa. Please share, subscribe and comment down below if there's anything you want to add to the conversation. The channel is growing fast and I want you to join my community. And let's get into the discussions. So, as you can see here, I've set up a presentation to kind of like how I think this is the history, all of that matchups for these games, as these are now two huge games coming up. First up, let's get into the England-New Zealand game. This is, I think, a story of the two unbeaten teams in the tournament. Two major unbeaten teams in the tournament. I know Wales are also not beaten, but still. Yet both of them do have technically only won 4 with that draw, so both of them getting the draw. The history between these teams is interesting. England definitely on the short end of the stick here, with only 1 win in recent times, and New Zealand winning pretty much the last, or almost all of the last fixtures, and having a massive success rate. The last game they played was impressively tight, with a 15-16 win to New Zealand, just showcasing how tight this is. And even the last 5 games, only really 1 New Zealand running away with it. The average, only really a 6-point result, as you can see there, just showcasing how tight it is between these teams. I know New Zealand ran away with it once, but other than that, these games end up being very close. And I suspect this is going to be very similar. New Zealand and England, in my opinion, are the top of their game right now. Both of them playing some great rugby. I know that I've been touting New Zealand not being there, but that game against Ireland has changed my mind, and I no longer doubt them. That the combinations work. Henson is just a genius, and Henson against Jones is just beautiful to see. Fun fact, Jones is the first coach, I think, in World Cup history, as far as I can read, to actually ever beat his home nation in a World Cup. So credit to him. As much credit as that, I guess, vouchers for, whatever. Cool. So let's look into this next slide. We've got the team stats up here, and points scored is in New Zealand's favour heavily. To be fair though, their pool was, they both had the same amount of games, but their pool was a little bit of a couple of easier games. They did play South Africa, so it's not completely easy, but the Canada-Namibia games did definitely bolster that figure quite substantially. New Zealand, as is their character, just dominating in the runs figure, killing any other team, even with a less game, showcasing how strong and capable their runners are at breaking lines. No matter where on the field they are potent. Clean breaks, again, similar figure here. England definitely showcasing some good numbers, but those are average in the tournament for the top sides. New Zealand just a class above the rest here also. Impressive breaks throughout the tournament so far. You've got amazing, like Severis, Bowden Barrett, Richie Mo'unga, even Geordie just doing some great breaks for this team that just you cannot ignore. Tackle success. New Zealand has a slight pip here. Overall though, both teams having really good tackle success throughout the tournament, and possession also effectively sharing the possession stats, showcasing that these teams definitely aren't dominating possession in a lot of their games, but utilising the opportunities when they get them very impressively. Overall, I think it's a case of defence versus attack, a large part of it. I know that as the tackle stats look like that, but England's defence is impressive, and I know in Australia, in my opinion, actually did show some holes in there that they need to patch before the game, especially when big runners run at their backline. They tend to fall apart, especially out wide, and that's something they need to be very careful of, as New Zealand only have big runners to run out wide. It's not like Australia, which have a couple of big ones in their backline. Everyone in the backline is ridiculous. So something that the English fans definitely look at, and the English coaching staff must plan for. Coming into some of the matchups for this game. First one I've picked here is Tom Curry versus Sam Cane. I think Tom Curry's had a great game this last game, and also has had a good tournament. Sam Cane also, but a little bit more of a behind-the-scenes figure. To be fair though, the position is normally like that. Both players physically pretty much very similar. They've got defenders beaten. Tom Curry does have a little bit of an edge, but the tackle success rate just showcasing the value of both of these players and where they just are essential. On the other hand, Tom Curry also having a lot of great runs. But these players are just powerful when it comes to defence, and really just continuing to hold the line when the team is under pressure, and alleviating pressure when they're on attack. So really, really good. And I think this is going to be a key battle in this tournament, in this game, to especially on defence, to ensure that the team doesn't get any crazy breaks. Coming up next, I've got Johnny May versus Severis. Severis is just going from strength to strength, continuing to be a talisman for that team. Johnny May, on the other hand, yeah, he's always been great. 2 tries against Australia, just continuing to showcase that. He has played 1 more match in this tournament and is but physically almost exactly the same. They're not much different. Severis does look like a mean figure though, but Johnny May can definitely hold his own. Tackles, very good, but Johnny May definitely 100% tackle success rate, especially out wide like that. The type of positions you get caught in, that is just an outstanding figure, and he needs to keep that up. I think it's one of the few players left in the tournament with a 100% tackle rate, so outstanding. Meters made, very similar numbers from both, but both picking up massive figures here, and just getting huge amounts. Johnny May with 8 meters per run. Just every run he makes, he's over the game line effectively. That is essential in a team like this, and you want to push the New Zealanders back. If they are having to retreat on a defence, you can definitely find some holes in their defence, but you cannot, if you're behind the game line, odds are you're losing the ball or just continuing to roll backwards. So I think this is going to be important. Severis is essential for the New Zealand attack, but also how he links with other players is very useful. Johnny May, on the other hand, is definitely more of an X-factor player for England's side compared to the rest of their backline, in my opinion, and has definitely got the try tally to showcase that. But Severis isn't far behind with 2 tries either. Next up, Owen Farrell versus Richie Mo'unga. I didn't think I would be saying this with Richie Mo'unga. I haven't always been a massive fan of him. He is good in the Crusaders, but I've always felt he's good in the Crusaders because the Crusaders are just damn good. But he is continuing to be a thorn in every team in this tournament, and his kicks are pinpoint. He dismantled the Irish defence in the quarterfinal game. He continues to be a threat, and he knows how to. He reads space like a rugby genius. He is way more than just a big brute. He is clever and just genius when it comes to understanding how to get players into space and how to open up space. He definitely does depend a little bit on a forward pack going forward, but to be fair, with New Zealand in front of you, he definitely doesn't have to worry about that much. But if his forward pack is moving forward, he finds space for players in places nobody's looking. Owen Farrell, on the other hand, I question the George Ford sub for Owen Farrell there, as I found Owen Farrell is unpredictable. Great games or poor games. He definitely is a bit of a shaky one, but great game against Australia and has had an overall pretty decent tournament at 12 also. So I think this is definitely an interesting one. Both Richie Mo'unga getting more penalties over, but effectively more conversions, but that's due to more tries. Owen Farrell was outstanding on the boot against Australia and has continued to be very good throughout this tournament on the boot. Tackles, definitely impressive here from Owen Farrell, the amount, but he is slipping some, and I think that's going to be a key point that they're going to be targeting, especially with your Richie Mo'unga combination on there. Aaron Smith, he loves to snipe in that field. I'm worried that Owen Farrell might not be able to catch, because I feel Genia already showed some holes in that in the last game. So definitely something Owen Farrell needs to look at. Richie Mo'unga, just showcasing with 91 meters made, he definitely is not only just a tactical player, but an attacking player when he needs to be also. Kick success, both very 80 and 78, pretty much even and up on the upper end of the tournament. So I think kicks will become an important part in this game, especially if things are tight to keep the scoreboard ticking. This game is definitely going to be about those last. I think it's going to be the first 30 minutes. England's going to get to play. New Zealand normally let the team play, give them some time to play on the ball, try and see if they can find holes and feel out the team. England need to put pressure here and have to convert points. There has to be a try for England in the first 30 minutes, or it's going to be tough, as New Zealand normally score before the end of the half and will push again after the second half. And the problem here is that the second half their tactic changes. They keep the ball more in hand. They definitely move it out wide faster and almost utilize the openness of the play. Players being a little bit more tired, running on the edges, and the tackles slipping just a little bit more under the sweat, under the whole occasion. So England need to get themselves ahead here. Chasing New Zealand is never a good thing, and those first 30 minutes are key, as I feel New Zealand are most vulnerable there, and most games they lose, it's because they've fallen behind, relatively behind in the first 30, and the other team can then just keep the scoreboard ticking ahead of them. So that's going to be key for England. On New Zealand's side, they obviously just need to make sure that their defence holds as it has this tournament. They've had outstanding defence this tournament and continue with that. with the with it again being a case of once those get that try in the last 20 minutes, and then the second half just utilize the open play with the outstanding bench they can bring forward. Obviously, these are by the way, obviously these are players I assume are playing next weekend because these are some of the stars. But if they change, I will bring out something to alter that. But at the moment, these are the key matchups I can see for sure. Okay, but yes, I think it's going to be an interesting game. I think New Zealand are going to definitely, well not definitely, most likely take this, but it's going to be a bruising encounter, and England are going to throw the kitchen sink in them. I expect an interesting play from Eddie Jones, as he's always, he seems to be able to play the team. He played Australia outstandingly well, understanding that they were not going to clear from their line and rather play the ball. That rush defence just put them under so much pressure they couldn't get out of it. New Zealand sometimes fall victim to that same thing where get confident, get cocky and play in their last 20. England need to focus and ensure pressure there to get the tries when they are open to them and not screw up any opportunities. But yes, let's get to the next game. Wales, South Africa. So here, mixed bag. 50-50 effectively win rate in the last 10 games. So Wales definitely dominating the later half of that, with South Africa killing for a while, then it started tipping to the Welsh side. The last 4 games have gone Wales' way, so definitely feel Wales are the favourites here. It's a different kind of Wales side and definitely not the best performance from them in the quarterfinals, but I don't think you can judge the Welsh on that one game. Overall, they've been outstanding, 6 Nations winners, and are definitely potent in attack. Looking at some of these figures we'll get into, they are insane in attack and need to be handled very well. And that just shows the quality of the French side that faced them, that almost took them out of this World Cup. The last game they played, Wales won with 9 points, 20 to 11, and also in November 2018. But relatively tight games throughout. It's going to be a bruiser. The average score result here only being a 5-point difference, showcasing again how tight these games are. But Wales definitely have the upper hand on history at the moment. Something South Africa needs to turn around, as they've had bad luck with Wales over the last few years. Wales will definitely take a lot of confidence from that though, and a confident team is definitely something that will help them to grow into this semi-final. All bets are off though, the quarterfinals are past, now the big teams begin. Let's get into the stats. So the key stats here, they both obviously have now played the 5 matches versus the other 2 playing only 4 matches. Points scored, South Africa definitely has benefited from a relatively good path through the pool stages, getting substantial points on everyone, leading the point scoring board with 211, continuing to be a force on attack, but I think opportunistic attack, very well done, and also a high phase play attack. Wales, on the other hand, I feel are very good at strike attacks from set pieces. They love to do out of lineouts from scrums, and will definitely have the X factor of some of their star players coming through to give them those tries. But it is rarely a try from 20 phases and driving over the line. It is much more from 5 or 6 phases, an X factor moment, or off of a set piece, just an outstanding calculated set move. The clean breaks, South Africa also here doing very well, but these stats are very hard to fully grasp, as South Africa has had, in my opinion, an easier path of this game versus Wales's Australia game, the France game itself even, and even the Fiji game, all being big bruising games that you cannot take lightly. What's that going to mean for the Welsh team overall? As a lot of them star players have played almost every game, I think that could also be something I also think that hurt Japan, South Africa can hopefully take and benefit from. Tackle success rate, South Africa sitting on the little bit of the lower end and the lowest of the 4 semi-finalists. Something that South Africa needs to look at, as some of their players definitely haven't been catching every tackle and letting through quite a bit. But to be fair, the rush defence and the group tackling has helped them, and also the outstanding scramble defence from South Africa, utilising it very well. And I think that's the main focus, obviously, South Africa trying to keep a team in their 50, give some distance to run to use that scramble defence also. The average possession though, South Africa definitely topping here with a decent amount of possession in most games. Wales almost seeming to a lot of their games like to not play with the ball and strike when their opportunity is hot, but definitely not, especially first half, Wales do not play with most of the ball in a lot of their games, something they need to look at, as South Africa will most likely strike if that's the case, and we'll see how that goes. Some of the matchups I thought they were quite interesting for this tournament. Alun Jones, you can't make a Welsh list without including Alun Jones, a talisman for the team, continuing to break records on his actual caps history. He is a big fella for sure, but so is Lewitt. The biggest thing here obviously being that Alun Jones is not a runner. He is a tackle machine though, and it's a little bit of a different thing. Louis has definitely altered his game. He used to be the tackle boss of our team, but that job, I feel, has been spread across a bunch of players in the forward pack. He's now becoming a lot more of a strike runner, and South Africa is becoming very commonly utilising the 4-5 pop and play combination, especially with the fact that they can pop over a lot of their backline players. Considering the height of them, we have 3 players over 2 meters in that area. It's become a very common tool for our team to utilise. That being said, tackle success from Louis is still no joke at 94%, but with 62 tackles, Alun Jones is just a key part of that Welsh defence. He continues to do that and is making tackles more than most players. I think he's 4th on the list and the highest of the leftover teams. He is just essential there. But as you can see, not a big runner. Only 17 metres made compared to 62. This is definitely a tale of 2 different types of styles teams are going for in that lock position. Next up, Aaron Wainwright and Peter Steptoe. So this is an interesting one. Both having scored a try already. Aaron Wainwright playing pretty much every game already. They are, again here, it's the height factor, but other than that, slightly larger South African, but similarly, I think, physicality that they can bring to the game. But Wainwright has had some great runs. He's definitely keeping up on the tackle side, and his tackle success rate and meters made are outstanding. He is a very, very, very savvy and also slippery forward, I have to admit. Something South Africa definitely look out for, as he likes to link up with players and could be very dangerous, especially near the try line. In those last 20 meters, he is quite potent. Peter Steptoe, on the other hand, he has had a good tournament, but he is a workhorse more than a attacking force. He's a high tackler, very similar to the Alun Jones role that we see there, although he has had some good moments and scored a try against New Zealand, so you cannot take that away from him. Cool, the last matchup here I want to give into the video is the Dan Biggar, Handré Pollard one. Now this is an interesting one, as Handré Pollard for me hasn't had the greatest tournament. His kicking percentage, you can see there, 65%, is definitely on the lower end of, well, he's the lowest of the teams going through, but on the lower end of the tournament as a whole. He has had some good kicks. It has been some tough kicks, to be fair, but overall he definitely needs to iron in that boot, because those key points in massive games coming forward will be essential. On the other hand, Dan Biggar has been consistent and is definitely at the up end. He's doing very well there. Tackle success rate also from him very good. Meters made, outstanding. He is essential for the team. To be fair though, even with the high meters made, he still, according to the stats figures, hasn't broken a tackle. Something he needs to look at, as I feel like he's running at the player and not next to the player or at his arm. So something that needs to work on. But to be fair, he is linking very well and is putting a lot of other players in space, so that's more of his focus. Overall, these two will be essential just to ensure that the actual plays and that team's style and game plan is actually executed, because this is where it's definitely going to become a massive factor, with South Africa utilising Pollard and obviously Dan Biggar becoming essential that side. So, how do I think that these two teams are going to play out? So, Wales and South Africa, I think, both don't play heavily in the first half. Wales has struck well, and especially against the Australia game, but I think they strike with opportunity. They do both like to get the scoreboard ticking, so I expect a lot of penalty kicks, a lot of drop goals where they can, to get the scoreboard ticking from both sides. This game's going to definitely open up in the last 20 minutes though, where South Africa probably going to employ the same tactic where they effectively swap their front row and try and overpower the other team in both in lineouts and scrums. So I think that's going to be essential in that area for South Africa. Wales' side, they need to ensure that they can hold off that, effectively null and void the forward pack of South Africa by trying to avoid as many scrums as possible, of course, where you can. And on the other side, when they have scrums, get the ball out as quick as possible. I don't think that the Welsh scrum will be able to hold the whole time. To be fair though, they have one of the better ones and have done well this tournament, but it's going to be a little shaky. Out wide, Wales are very, very sharp on attack and can do some real damage. They couldn't really get it right against the French, even the 14 men, something they need to look at in training this week. South Africa, on the other hand, have just continued to grow in their defensive force. They are missing a couple tackles, but their cover defense and their restructuring of defense, especially on counter-attacks, is very, very good. So it'll be very interesting to see how these teams can actually play out and try and figure out holes through these systems. But yeah, guys, that's kind of how I think these semi-finals are going to go, the matchups, the things. Let me know down below what you feel, what your comments are. Who do you think is going to win? Who do you think is going to go to the final? What is the final you want to see? All of those good things down below. Cheers, guys. Thank you.